You have to have tiered pricing, there have to be exemptions, there have to be revenue rebates that can prevent this policy from becoming regressive. Otherwise, what will happen is we'll risk repeating the same story that we've heard so many times over. It's a good idea, but there's bad execution, then there's public backlash, and then there's quietly a rollback. And we're seeing this again and again. So remember, Mumbai doesn't just have a traffic problem, it has a planning problem as well. It has a governance problem. Our air quality is hovering in the moderate, right? It's like unhealthy pollution. And what we as citizens are seeing, our buses are shrinking, our footpaths are disappearing, the metro is expanding, but it's uneven. Roads are permanently dug up, So I feel like when the government is now coming in and saying pay more to drive, what we are hearing is the government has failed to build alternatives. Now you have to pay for our failure. And this is what
that's exactly what I was coming to, Meghna. How big of a challenge is this, really breaking through this mental block? Because a lot of people going by this pricing will feel the pinch in their pockets, and they will say, this feels like any other tax, not just a mobility tax. It's not going to be advantage us immediately. Is that the biggest concern?
I think so. I think, Mumbai is already running on a very delicate ecosystem, right? We have millions of people who are depending on local trains, on best buses, on shared autos and walking. This city doesn't just have a car dependency at the western level, but it is rapidly moving towards this. Vehicle ownership has grown faster than road capacity. And it's not just a Mumbai problem, this is across any Indian metro. So I think infrastructure planning has historically lagged behind growth. So this is a pattern that we're seeing across cities where, you see vehicle numbers rising faster than roads and transit upgrades. So there's also trust deficit, right? Policies are failing not because they're technically flawed, but because citizens are assuming already when they hear such policies, immediately what the citizen will assume is that this is going to be poorly implemented. This will be enforced negatively.
I mean, it's not just limited to, let's say, urban centers or highly congested centers in cities like Mumbai. Let's not forget what we saw on the Mumbai-Pune expressway not too long ago. The endless traffic on an expressway. So how do you get out of that kind of a problem?
I was going to come to that as well. When we talk about Mumbai, for example, it has a unique urban layout as well, limited road capacity. Do you think then a congestion tax can be an effective tool?
So I want to come in here. It is precisely the geography of Mumbai which makes it more feasible. If we were talking in cities like Delhi, it is very spread out. So really, demarcating a very small area where it works, it will not. And all the other arguments you said, yes, it is. Basically, it all depends on how it is implemented. And that is why I said you have to start small. But not starting is also not a good idea. And then this whole argument about that, the growth, we have having more cars and the infrastructure is not growing at the same space is also flawed. Because we cannot keep on expanding infrastructure to meet the demand of cars. And by the way, we are already paying in terms of time. When you move on the road and the roads are congested, you're already paying a huge cost because you're not able to move at, and reach your destinations where you wanted to. So I think that is why we have debated. This is what happened in London. They also debated for 20 years. The idea was floated in 85. And finally, when they did was early 2000. And then also there was a lot of skepticism. So the thing is this, and in fact, if you look at cities like Mumbai, majority people already travel by buses and trains. And so, cars are already small, but the cars numbers, whatever numbers are, the roads are totally packed. That is why this is one of these strategies that you start influencing the demand. And as I said, it will not be very big in the beginning. The change will be very small, 5%, 10%. But the idea, and then that is also one of the ways of actually understanding what needs to be done in terms of better implementation and setting up processes where the proceed is invested in upgrading your bus-based public transport primarily and pedestrian infrastructure.
Right, and in fact, that's exactly what I was going to come to as well. While I understand that perhaps we do have to take some steps and we will see what issues we run into and they can be taken on a case basis, when we talk about using that money then to strengthen infrastructure, there's this whole issue of transparency that also comes in there.
Accountability. Also,
Right.
a lot of people feel that that money is actually going to go into corrupt hands, which is a valid concern because it's something that we've seen in other parts of the country.
Or
as well,
how do you
Meghna.
track that then?
Yeah.
I mean, that is what something that when it is debated and implemented, before that you have to implement, you have to see. So at one time, the idea was floated by central government also. Every city should have a dedicated public transport fund, not from the main budget, but separate.
Yes.
And right now we also talk about, if you see, Supreme Court Committee on Road Safety has also instructed every state to initiate dedicated road safety fund. They are saying that don't mix it with other budgets. So these ideas are there, and these have to be worked out in detail. How you actually do it and convince people, and have these debates that how we make it transparent.
Okay. Very quickly, both Ms. Tiwari and Meghna, I want to want you to come in on this one challenge, or multiple challenges, in fact, that are being spoken of. If this were indeed to become a reality, yes, we need to take baby steps. It has to be a small start, Meghna.
Yeah.
There are concerns like, for instance, what about the informal sector? What about over-reliance on private cars? What about all of those areas, those small businesses, shops that are possibly going to be at the receiving end of huge losses if they're not going to be easily accessible? So how do you deal with those challenges? What are your thoughts there?
And I think this is the real danger, if congestion tax is implemented badly, it will not become climate policy, it's going to become a class policy. So the rich will of course pay and drive. The middle class will also pay, but they'll resent it. And then you've got the working class who will suffer worse because public transport, because the revenue will vanish into general budgets, right? Where is this revenue going to go? It has to be clearly articulated. And remember, Mumbai is not anti-reform. Mumbai is anti-hypocrisy. We are a city that, we stand in train doors at rush hours. We walk 2 kilometers because our autos are refusing us. We work through floods. We vote despite cynicism. So if you want congestion pricing, tell the truth. Tell citizens this is about forcing behavior change. Tell them that driving to South Mumbai will become difficult, will become expensive, will even become socially embarrassing. Tell them that cars are not the future of cities like ours, which are so dense. So promise also at the same time something radical, that more buses we'll see than flyovers, we'll see more footpaths than beautification projects, we'll see more public transport than ribbon cuttings, because I don't think Mumbai doesn't need just a congestion tax. I think it needs political courage to admit that private cars cannot be the default in a city of 20 million people, and I think that's what we really need to drive.
Right.
home.
And thank you so much for mentioning that as well, Mr. Tiwari. I believe you want to say something.
No, I think Meghna summed it up very nicely. It is all about how it is implemented and how we package it. So we do not introduce like a one measure that is going to solve all your problems.
Yes,
It has
yes.
to be part of this total package we are talking about. And unless you come out with this comprehensive package, it doesn't work.
Absolutely.
So we kind of package it in a way that's friendly to Indian roads, Indian consumers, Indians overall, and what really suits them. And transparency, accountability, I think that's the biggest concern here. So that definitely needs to be addressed. Thank you so much to the both of you for joining us this morning. It was wonderful having you on board.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you.
us.
All right, up next, February 11th holds global significance as the International Day of Women and Girls in Science, promoting gender equality in STEM. India's space story isn't being written only inside big laboratories anymore. In classrooms across the country, students are learning space science by actually working on real missions. Satellites, payloads, experiments built by school children.
All of it by children. At the center of this effort is Dr. Srimati Kesan, founder and CEO of Space Kids India, who has spent years bringing hands-on space learning to students, especially young girls. She joins us live now, so let's quickly go over to her. Good morning, Ms. Kesan. Lovely having you on board. Thanks for joining us on the Breakfast Club. You're doing such wonderful work, and for so many years now. But the one striking thing about your story and your initiative is that you don't or didn't have a formal degree in engineering, and yet you've reached here and you're ensuring that girls take this story forward. So what was the inspiration for you exactly?
I have to tell you, thank you so much. I mean, lovely, lovely introduction, and you girls doing a great job. And I think together we have to reach there, because this year's theme is right justice action for all. We are not just going to speak, we are going to implement this. Well, the question that you asked beautifully, degrees are just meant to be hung on the wall. That's what I feel. Knowledge is something that you need to actually invest time in acquiring, learning every minute. So that's what I feel happy about learning. And every day it is like, you learn something new, and space is so vast. There is nothing that you can excel in that subject. And I want girls to understand that they are made for this versatile subject, because it is not only, scientists sitting in front of the mission control or building the rockets and satellites. This has something beyond that. Space has got something beyond that. And it is not only for the niche, because every time we studied about science or STEM or predominantly space, it was, I'm sorry to say, but you have a lot of men there. The names of the men everywhere charter. And that I found a little icky. I mean, why not? Why aren't the girls there when we have 48% of girls?
And when they're everywhere else.
Yes.
Right.
And you just have them as models. I mean, in the fashion industry, in the food industry, you're only talking about, women can do business with all of these, which are more creative. I think space is also very creative. That's what I wanted to, reiterate again and again, stating that when we built the lightest payload, it all started with a gulab jamun. Can you believe it? So kitchen science is very, very important even for space sciences. It's how you relate everything. It's how you look around with the problems to find the solutions.
Right, Ms. Kesan, and what you said earlier is very interesting. You spoke about how degrees are meant to be hung on walls. And, in fact, if you look at the data, what do you think are some of the structural barriers that still exist? Because we're seeing the entry numbers in this field, the enrollment numbers, at least on paper, are rather equal. What then pushes women out midway? Because we don't see that conversion in numbers there.
India speaks about 48% in post-graduation. But after that, there is a huge gap. Globally, if you see, it is only 14 to 19% of women in STEM and space. 2 to 3% only in the leadership roles. That is very, very painful. Where are we having the role models? See, for a girl child, or for women for that matter, I think every time you need to say, hey, you can do this, you can do this. Somewhere or the other, societal pressure, family pressure, and to mount on all this, the unequal pay. The same positions, but unequal pay. I think this has been there for centuries, and I think this is the point of concern. And when you get into labs, with personal experience, I wish to say, when we start building the satellites, it almost takes like about 35, 40 days sometimes to, build that whole thing. In spite of having the subsystems and everything ready, the integration almost takes 40 days, 45 days. So what happens? Parents start questioning, we cannot send the girls at this hour, that hour. What would the neighbors say? These are all very trivial. But still it persists. That's what I wish to keep saying, keep repeating, that this is there in every family household. How are we going to stop that? And everything boggles down to get married.
And that challenge multiplies in different parts of the country. For instance, in tier 2, tier 3 cities, or girls who come from rural backgrounds, and you're including them in your programs as well, Ms. Kesan. So I want to understand from you what your experience there has been. Have these young girls come to you and said, science is not for me, and how have you really broken through that challenge?
I have to tell you, it is the contrast or the contrary statement I have to make. Because our predominant mission for the 75th independence, or now Mission Shakti Sat, is only girls.
Yeah.
Give the girls the opportunity and platform, and let's see what's going to happen. was there in my mind. I said, let's get the rural girls who have not even stepped out of their villages ever. And when you started speaking to them about space and how it looks and how their satellite was going to go up, today, mark my word, the impact is so huge. They want to become astronauts. They want to become space scientists. And every girl child feels her importance towards contributing to the country. See, all these things were not spoken to them. Yeah. So it is not their mistake. So they all feel science is so important. And especially when we had taken them to Sriharikota, and when the scientists were, seated there before in the mission control, children went gaga. They said, we want to come here. So it is the opportunity, it is the platform. I would repeat again and again and again that science should go to the children. We should not bring children out of their towns or villages or anything and tell them that only this place has got science to study, this place has got astronomy to study, and you have to study here. No. And this is not a challenge only in India. Please, understand that this is worldwide. And that is where we are building this satellite called Mission Shakti Sat, where we are involving 108 countries. Yeah. I thought it was an Indian challenge. But when I started interacting with all these countries, I found girls, children, and women have the same challenge across the globe. So it's how you're able to pull them out, how you're able to give them opportunities.
Has that been challenging? Because you've spoken on multiple occasions about how difficult even the thought of putting this together. 108 countries is huge.
Yes, you can see that. But somebody needs to take that step. Somebody needs to take that step. And women are so beautiful once you take that one step. I think we all come together, immaterial of our position or what we are. I think we would love to stand there to give shoulder to our peers. And that's the beauty of this whole mission. Everybody joining together. In fact, I have to tell you, today on this day, we have Meenakshi Lekhi coming in on as our patron. And, and we have rights and justice. So whom else it can be? It's such a beautiful combination. We've got Alderman, the first lady from Seychelles. She is going to be a part of this mission. So, it's so beautiful that it is spreading, and people definitely want to give those wings to these children. And every child, when I went to Eswatini, you should see those girls. They were like, we never even dreamt that we were going to be working in a space mission, because space is something, it's a fantasy word first. That fantasy culminates into a dream. And that dream culminates into reality. And for that to culminate as a reality, you need somebody to put things together and opportunities. Every time it is not one individual or two individuals. And I feel it's the collective responsibility of every person living on this earth to do this.
And we're moving in the right direction, isn't it, Ms. Kesan? We're seeing several of these space missions being actually led by women now. So that's how the story is changing. That's how fast it's changing.
Right.
It's so beautiful that women are leading, but still, are we having a woman chairman in ISRO? Are we having a woman chairman in DRDO? See, the only part is we feel content. Women feel very content very easily. I don't think we should be content. We should be there. We know to lead. When we can give birth to a child, which is the most difficult thing, and to upbring them to the best possible, I think anything is possible. That's why I would say hanging degrees is different, but learning how to work on it is something different.
Absolutely, Ms.
Kesan.
Absolutely. And of course, there's so much more that still needs to be done. But thank you so much for speaking to us this morning. It's been an absolute pleasure. We wish you all the best for your missions as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wonderful talking to you all and sharing my thoughts.
All right, shifting our focus now. Newly released documents tied to Jeffrey Epstein are reigniting scrutiny on both sides of the Atlantic and once again placing Britain's royal family under an uncomfortable spotlight. Fresh questions center on Prince Andrew and whether newly unsealed material raises broader concerns for the monarchy itself, though why it would still be a question is a very big question also.
Buckingham Palace, in fact, is attempting to contain the fallout, but political pressure is building in the US and public scrutiny is intensifying at home. We get you more details in this report.
Cache of documents, powerful names, and questions that refuse to die. As investigators in the United States continue to unseal material linked to Jeffrey Epstein, the aftershocks are being felt thousands of miles away at Buckingham Palace. The question now being asked in Britain and beyond, could the fallout damage the institution itself? The fresh disclosures drag the spotlight back to one man, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, the former Duke of York. Fresh attention on the files has revived claims that Andrew remained in contact with Epstein beyond the period he had publicly indicated. Now, another allegation is drawing intense focus. Emails reported in the latest release appear to suggest Andrew, while serving as a UK trade envoy, forwarded government-related documents to Epstein in 2010. The material is said to have included reports linked to official visits in places such as Vietnam and Singapore. Andrew has long denied wrongdoing. At this stage, there are no charges, but the political and reputational impact is immediate. Andrew had already stepped back from royal duties. He lost military roles and recently vacated his longtime residence at Royal Lodge, a stunning fall from grace for a former working royal. Inside the royal household, the strategy is unmistakable: distance and contain. In a rare move, Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, issued a joint response. They did not defend Andrew. They did not challenge the documents. Instead, they emphasized concern for victims. Carefully chosen words, measured, protective of the crown. Meanwhile, King Charles III has publicly affirmed his readiness to support police assessments into his brother's conduct, a constitutional first in modern royal history. A message to the public: the monarchy will not shield controversy.
Charles, how long have you known about Andrew and Epstein? Andrew got prosecution!
The fallout is no longer confined to Britain. In the United States, Congressman Ro Khanna has added political heat to the moment. He has argued that powerful individuals must not be insulated from scrutiny simply because of status or connections.
Well, the king has to answer what he knew about Andrew. And just stripping Andrew of a title is not enough. I mean, Andrew needs to come before our committee and start answering questions. I mean, look, if you have allegations.
Okay, it's time for us to head into a short break. But before that, what we want you to take a look at very closely is what the internet is obsessing over. Let's not forget the ICC threatened PCB to really walk back on the boycott threat, and that's exactly what happened, and that's all that's being witnessed on the internet the last so many hours. That's one meme that we've pulled up for you. Pakistan making this list of demands. ICC read it, said no, the match is on. Somehow this is being sold as a victory back home at Pakistan, and the internet obviously has other ideas, and they're trolling Pakistan on this as well.
Absolutely. I just love how creative people get. Nothing goes unnoticed on the internet and on social media especially.
Somebody's actually called them absolute clowns, so that's how it's playing out.
All right, and this one then. Another meme that we're looking at, this is Pakistan cricket diplomacy in a nutshell. Big announcements and emotions, and then a walk back to the same ground. Lots of we're done energy, but zero follow through. Social media, of course, noticed.
I mean, this meme actually says that even therapy can't fix this. So
yes, it does.
That's how they're being trolled.
These are the
on
kind of
social
commitment
media.
issues even therapy
And
can't
then
fix.
let's pull out that one meme. Very, very interesting, because you've seen this movie
This
before.
is my favorite.
Yeah,
You know this.
yeah. Akshay Kumar, Paresh Rawal. You've seen this before. Threaten to leave, swear you're leaving, explain very seriously that you're leaving, and then you never actually leave. So that explains what Pakistan really pulled off with the ICC, or rather was forced to possibly walk back on. India-Pakistan cricket is very much on, but it's almost turned into this sitcom.
I mean, we knew this was going to happen, didn't we? And whoever made this one, we just want to talk. Just one chat with you.
Okay, with that, it's time for us to head into a very quick break. Lots more lined up. There's breaking news update coming in as well. So we'll shift our attention in just a bit. See you.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network. This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network. This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network. This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network. This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network. This is News 18 Network. India's largest news.
This is considering the Equestrian Federation of India and the controversy surrounding its appointment of Warek as the individual to shepherd the team in Jordan during the international tournament. Now the EFI is facing a lot of flack for appointing someone who's been accused of sexual assault to accompany this team to Jordan. The Equestrian Federation of India, now in its reply to the Sports Ministry on behalf of the show cause notice that was issued, says that Tarsim Singh Warek said a false case was registered against him in 2023 and the case is sub judice. The letter added that he clarified that he was on bail since 2023 and there were no restrictions placed upon him to perform his regular duties. And also there was no ban or embargo on him to travel anywhere in India or abroad, which is why the Equestrian Federation of India says that he was appointed to travel with the team to Jordan. Now the letter also added that Warek also furnished a certificate from his lawyers to substantiate his position further. It was only then that a call was taken to send him with the team as mandated in the EFI statute. So that is the defense that's coming in from the Equestrian Federation of India, given the fact that a lot of alarm has been raised primarily from the parents of the athletes as well, given the fact that Warek has been accused of sexual assault and was sent with the team to Jordan. I'm joined by my colleague Simran Babbar on the broadcast. So Simran, the EFI is giving a pretty standard defense that they followed the letter of the law. There were no restrictions on Warek when it comes to traveling to Jordan with the team. So that defense pretty much laying out the EFI's case. But even though the parents have raised concerns over the fact that he's accused of sexual assault and it could be a safety threat to the team.
This reply has come and sparked also concern over how could EFI actually put out such a reply to the show cause notice and the demand by the Sports Ministry to the EFI on the concerns of why could a rape and harassment accused person, an individual, could be sent on an overseas assignment. So the problems that begin, of course, with the letter also come from the point that the letter has backed the selection of the retired Colonel Tarsim Singh Warich, while the EFI has also clarified that they had furnished a certificate from his lawyers to substantiate that his position further. And the EFI also said that not only Tarsim Singh Warich had a previous experience in also proving to be a kind of utility for that position, but also that call was taken for the same reason that he had also furnished a certificate, and then only he was sent with the team as mandated for the EFI statutory guidelines. The letter also added that he was out on bail, and that was also the basis why he could also be selected to be sent, as there were no restrictions which were placed on him to perform his regular duties. While all of these have been contentious clauses by even the ministry, by also the parents and the victims as well, but the EFI seemingly in this letter also clarifying their position has in a way backed and also clarified their earlier stances of why they actually preferred the rape and harassment accused retired Colonel Tarsim Singh Warich for an overseas assignment.
Right, but Simran, at the same time, from the EFI's perspective, they have checked all the legal boxes when it comes to Warich's appointment. This is only becoming a PR issue given the optics surrounding this entire case, especially given the fact that he's been accused of sexual harassment, but he's been out on bail. The matter is sub judice. He himself has stated that there are no restrictions on his travel within India and abroad. He's furnished lawyer certificates. So the EFI pretty much checking all those boxes to say that we've done our job. We have taken that call to send Warich to Jordan because there are no restrictions, even though the moral question is being asked from the parents of the teammates.
Well, absolutely. See, Anshuman, we have to really look at the point that EFI in its entire in fact, being has also been pretty much tainted with not complying with the National Sports Governance Act, as even the Sports Ministry had flagged various government failures of compliance within the federation from earlier as well. And that is why not only the issue of Colonel Tarsim Singh Warich being selected as the coach cum manager for an overseas assignment, but also the kind of intervention that all the EC members do in the...
All right, welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. Here's all the breaking news that we're bringing for you at this hour. News coming in: the White House has revised its fact sheet on the India-US trade deal, dropping the reference to pulses and changing the wording around India's proposed $500 billion purchase from a firm commitment here to the change here being intent. The changes are significant given the sensitivity of agricultural imports, particularly pulses, for India's farm sector.
In fact, the White House fact sheet explicitly mentioned certain pulses among the products for which India would reduce or eliminate tariffs. So there's a little bit of a clarification that's now coming in on US's part. This is the White House revising its fact sheet on the India-US trade deal, and it's dropped the reference to pulses and has changed the wording around India's proposed $500 billion purchase from a firm commitment to an intent. Do remember, this $500 billion mention first was seen on President Donald Trump's social media posts. So a lot of changes coming in now. Let's quickly go over to Siddhant.
Right, Siddhant is now joining us. Siddhant, of course, when we talk about this change, many had in fact called it earlier as well that perhaps Donald Trump had jumped the gun there, announcing it on Truth Social. Now we're seeing the kind of changes that are being made, which has also led to the kind of speculation that we've seen back at home. How do you assess that, Siddhant?
Well, that's right, Haim. So the joint statement was released and perhaps was considered at that time the only official statement between India and the United States. And in fact, both the media here in India and the United States were reporting on the basis of that joint statement. And there was no dispute as far as that joint statement is concerned. Now, what happened yesterday, White House came up with a fact sheet on India-US trade deal. Now, there were a lot of discrepancies when it comes to the fact sheet. Now, they had a mention of certain pulses. They also had mention of committed. India is committed to buy $500 billion, etc., etc. Where when it comes to the joint statement, the word is intends. which means India के इरादे हैं $500 billion का सामान US से खरीदने के लिए. So there were discrepancies, and digital services taxes was also included in the fact sheet, but was not the part of the joint statement. And in fact, the agriculture has also been removed. This is what we could understand after going through the fact sheet, which was uploaded yesterday, and fact sheet which got updated today. So significant changes have been made by the White House now. The update has already been updated. Fact sheet has already been uploaded on the White House website, which is almost aligned with the joint statement released by India and the United States the other day. So the pulses have been removed, agriculture word has been removed, digital services taxes have been removed, and instead of India committed to buy $500 billion of US goods. Now it has become India intends to buy $500 billion of US goods. So very much in line, aligned with the joint statement.
All right, Siddhant, do stay on with us. Of course, we'll continue to discuss what this means going forward as well.
Let's shift our focus to more breaking news that's just come in. At least 9 people were killed in a mass shooting in Canada. Police responded to reports of an active shooter and found multiple victims in the school, with additional fatalities at the connected home. The suspected shooter was found dead with what appears to be a self-inflicted injury. Several people were injured, including 2 in serious condition, who were airlifted to a hospital, while others are receiving treatment locally.
Siddhant, coming back to you on this heinous attack at a school mass shooting incident in Canada. What can you tell us? What really happened here?
In fact, Canadian police confirms that 7 people killed, 25 injured after a school shooting in Tumbler Ridge, BC, British Columbia. 2 others found dead at home. In fact, the suspect is also dead. Now, approximately at 1:20 p.m., a report was received that an active shooter at Ridge Secondary School is present, and a police-initiated public alert was issued immediately, and officers responded to the scene. The alert was officially cancelled at 5:45 p.m. as police do not believe there was an outstanding suspect, so an ongoing threat to the public. In fact, as a part of the initial response to the active shooting, police entered the school to locate the threat. During the search, officers located multiple victims. An individual believed to be the shooter was also found deceased with what appears to be a self-inflicted injury. 6 additional individuals, not including the suspect, have been located deceased inside the school. Back to you.
Okay, those are the initial details that have trickled in so far. Siddhant, many thanks for joining us with that quick update. We head into a very short break. Remember, voting for Telangana municipal elections has begun. So on the other side, we return with the live updates coming in. Stay tuned.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network. This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
This is considering the Equestrian Federation of India and the controversy surrounding its appointment of Warek as the individual to shepherd the team in Jordan during the international tournament. Now the EFI is facing a lot of flack for appointing someone.
Breaking news coming in, Indian Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri and Chinese counterparts, including Vice Foreign Minister, met to review bilateral relations, emphasizing the need for peace, tranquility and, in some contexts, mutual development opportunities. Discussions focused on managing border issues, economic ties and strategic communication. So that is the major update, that Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri met with his Chinese counterpart, and we are joined by Siddhant Mishra on this broadcast. Siddhant, how do you see this meeting, especially after the meeting of PM Modi and President Xi Jinping in Tianjin? Does this mean that the relations between India and China are only improving?
Well, that's right. So we have 2 readouts at this point in time. One is of the Indian government, and the other is of the Chinese government. Now, Foreign Secretary held talks with the Executive Vice Foreign Minister of China on February 10, and in fact, two sides exchanged views on wide gamut of issues, including bilateral, regional, and international. Both sides also underscored the importance of peace and tranquility in the border areas. In fact, Foreign Secretary noted the successful resumption of the Mansarovar Yatra and hope for the continued expansion and the scale of the Yatra. Both sides recognize the need for an early conclusion of an updated air service agreement, because already the flights have resumed between India and China. Now, one thing which is very unique and very rare finds mention in India's readout, where the readout says that the Chinese side expressed its support for successful BRICS summit in India, and EVFM also conveyed that China understands and respects India's aspiration for UNSC membership. Now, this line is mentioned in India's readout, but does not find mention in Chinese readout. And this is a very rare and a very unique line or a issue mentioned in the official document of the meeting between India and China. Back to you.
Right, Siddhant. Many thanks, Siddhant, for gathering all that. And we are slipping into a very short break. News and updates continue on the other side. Stay with us.
This is News 18 Network. India.
Welcome back. Polling for the Telangana municipal elections is commenced, seen by many as a midterm referendum on Chief Minister Revanth Reddy's performance. The elections will cover 116 municipalities and 7 municipal corporations, with vote counting scheduled for the 13th of February. Tensions flared between the BJP and ruling Congress on the eve of polling after a BJP candidate committed suicide, which has once again sparked accusations, counter-allegations coming in thick and fast.
Absolutely, and Chief Minister Reddy claims the polls are a triangular contest between Congress, BJP and the BRS, alleging both BJP and the BRS did nothing for Telangana, while welfare schemes, Hindutva and appeasement appear to be the crucial factors in these polls. The BRS battles for survival post-2023 setbacks, and that's what we're going to be looking at.
Let's quickly go over to our colleagues joining us this morning. Rohini Swami joins us live from the Secretariat in Hyderabad. Then PV Ramana is joining us on the broadcast as well. Rohini, if I can quickly come to you, polling has begun. It's a very key election, and given the kind of reactions that have come in from all sides the last few hours is testament to that. But Rohini, what I want to understand from you is where are each of the political stakeholders placed in this contest as we speak? The Congress trying hard to break into BRS's urban strongholds. BRS, of course, looking at repeating its 2023 performance. What about the others?
Well, it's a key election, and a municipal election that is almost being fought like nothing less than an assembly election or a Lok Sabha election as well. High octane in various districts. There are some important districts like Vikarabad and Rangareddy district as well, and Sircilla, where also, because one is these are key areas where the former Chief Minister Mr. KCR as well, KTR, and the sitting Chief Minister Mr. Revanth Reddy and the entire BJP setup here has put their entire units in play. Now, why I'm saying this is because this election is key to two things. One is the existence, or rather the closely fought election between the BRS and the Congress. Now, the Congress election is led by Chief Minister Revanth Reddy, and they're also looking at repeating the 2023 elections because they have swept the polls here in Hyderabad, in Telangana, and post that itself, they're looking at trying to sweep this election as well. It's not just a midterm referendum, also report card in terms of the entire welfare schemes that the Congress has put in place. Number two, the BRS, which was in power for nearly a decade, they also have been largely, the stronghold of these municipalities has been a BRS stronghold, and they are now looking at keeping the stronghold in place. But the elections in municipalities and urban bodies are fought on basic issues, on water, on sanitation, on the way roads are being made. And these issues, people say that there is a problem that needs to be addressed. that will also show in terms of the voting pattern as to what the people are going to do, whether these welfare schemes and the schemes of the government from the state trickle down right down to the grassroots level. Now it's the BJP also that you need to see. They are in alliance with Pavan Kalyan's Janasena here, and this is an important alliance as well, because here we are not only looking at star power, we are not looking at also neighbouring Andhra Pradesh Deputy Chief Minister's party here as well. They're also looking at pushing, because the BJP is making a major push. If you remember, the campaign also saw Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis, also BJP National President Nitin Nabin also here. So a lot of impact being made by the BJP itself. The way the election has been fought, it was also in terms of counter allegations and allegations of corruption. And also we saw a very important development yesterday where a senior BJP leader who was contesting from one of the municipalities also ended his life because they claimed that there was harassment. So there are a lot of issues, a lot of basic issues of people, but also corruption things that need to be addressed.
Right, PV Ramana also with us. PV, if I could come to you just to expand on this going forward as well from the point of view of the voters here, what are going to be some of the crucial deciding factors, because as Rohini mentioned, there's a lot going into this.
So after very high voltage campaign in these municipal elections, almost 80% of the urban area is voting today. And there, of course, as Rohini mentioned, there is an issue of the basic amenities, sanitation, roads, drinking water, whatever the things. So they wanted to get these kind of the information. But when it comes to the political agenda, so all the political parties, they try to get the bigger hand in these particular areas, and accordingly they deployed their candidates in the municipalities. Today, almost 116 municipalities and 7 municipal corporations is voting today. Almost all authorities made all the arrangements for that. As we are seeing in the visuals, there is some plastic-free polling stations. Some of the some people is distributing saplings for the who is voting first 50 voters to them, and all these kind of the arrangements was already made. And of course, as Rohini mentioned, there are some sensitive areas. There was some issues was raised in political issues was raised in the Medak municipality and as well as in the Maktal municipality. Maktal municipality, one of the tribal candidate is committing suicide, and they are accusing the government and the local minister over there. What is here is reason for that and all. So there's some of the sensitive areas is there, some of the non-sensitive areas is there. Anyhow, all the parties like BRS, BJP and Congress, they wanted to get the bigger hand in the municipalities, and accordingly they made high voltage campaign. We have witnessed a lot of war of words between the parties, like some of the from the Chief Minister Revant Reddy, KTR, some other leaders, and even from the BJP and all. Yesterday, the issue was raised when it comes to the Maktal issue. It was Maktal suicide issue. It was raised in the parliament also by the Union Minister Kishan Reddy. Whatever the thing, as of now, situation is it started at 7 o'clock in the morning. It will be concluded in the evening 5 o'clock, and on 13th the voting counting will be there. On the 19th, the entire process will be closed, like election of the municipal chairman, election of the vice chairman, whatever the posts will be there. Accordingly, the entire municipal elections process will be concluded, and the municipality where yesterday the person was committed suicide, candidate was committed suicide, that elections was postponed, and accordingly that will be also conducted. As of now, situation is cool and everything going ahead, and police made webcasting in all the polling stations. They are watching through webcasting, and as well as this time they are using a paper ballot also. So they have to see how the election process will be done, and what will be the end result will be.
Okay, so closely watched election, most certainly. If we just go by 2023 patterns, there was a rural dominance that was seen on part of the Congress. The BRS, of course, taking away the urban strongholds. Will that story repeat itself? What changes are likely to be coming in? We're going to keep tracking that very closely. 13th is when the results will be announced. That's all we could pack for you for now. Thanks for watching and tuning in and staying with us this morning.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Breaking news coming in. Indian Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri and Chinese counterparts including Vice Foreign Minister, met to review bilateral relations, emphasizing the need for peace, tranquility and, in some contexts, mutual development opportunities. Discussions focused on managing border issues, economic ties and strategic communication. So that is the major update, that Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri met with his Chinese counterpart, and we are joined by Siddhant Mishra on this broadcast. Siddhant, how do you see this meeting, especially after the meeting of PM Modi and President Xi Jinping in Tianjin? Does this mean that the relations between India and China are only improving?
Well, that's right. So we have two readouts at this point in time. One is of the Indian government, and the other is of the Chinese government. Now, Foreign Secretary held talks with the Executive Vice Foreign Minister of China on February 10, and in fact, two sides exchanged views on wide gamut of issues, including bilateral, regional, and international. Both sides also underscored the importance of peace and tranquility in the border areas. In fact, Foreign Secretary noted the successful resumption of the Mansarovar Yatra and hope for the continued expansion and the scale of the Yatra. Both sides recognize the need for an early conclusion of an updated air service agreement, because already the flights have resumed between India and China. Now, one thing which is very unique and very rare finds mention in India's readout, where the readout says that the Chinese side expressed its support for successful BRICS summit in India, and EVFM also conveyed that China understands and respects India's aspiration for UNSC membership. Now, this line is mentioned in India's readout, but does not find mention in Chinese readout. And this is a very rare and a very unique line or a issue mentioned in the official document of the meeting between India and China. Back to you.
Right, Siddhant. Many thanks, Siddhant, for gathering all that. And we are slipping into a very short break. News and updates continue on the other side. Stay with us.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Breaking news coming in. Indian Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri and Chinese counterparts, including Vice Foreign Minister, met to review bilateral relations, emphasizing the need for peace, tranquility and, in some contexts, mutual development opportunities. Discussions focused on managing border issues, economic ties and strategic.
Welcome back to CNN News 18. Thank you so much for staying with us. My name is Heen Kaur Suran. Here's a quick look at what we're tracking for you at this hour. Let's get started. US revises trade deal fact sheet, drops pulses and agriculture from the deal, changing the wording around India's proposed $500 billion purchase from a firm commitment to an intent. Local body polls get underway in Telangana. Polling across 116 municipalities get underway. Meanwhile, situation remains tense following BJP candidate's suicide on the last day of campaigning. No end to the power tussle in Karnataka. DK Shivkumar camps in Delhi, seeks one-on-one with the top brass, claims he has support of all Congress MLAs. 3 days since the Kanpur Lamborghini crash, but accused Shivam Mishra remains untraced. Father claims hospitalization in Delhi, while police insist he was driving. As former Army Chief backs publisher Penguin's version, BJP doubles down on Rahul Gandhi, calls it proof to counter Congress claims. Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla says he will stay away from House proceedings after the opposition submitted a no-confidence notice pending disposal of the motion. NCP leader Rohit Pawar claims Ajit Pawar's death in a plane crash was no accident, raises questions over pilot conduct and runway change, triggers a big political debate. All right, in a news coming in, the White House has revised its fact sheet on the India-US trade deal, dropping the reference to pulses and changing the wording around India's proposed $500 billion purchase from a firm commitment to an intent. The changes are significant, viewers, given the sensitivity of agricultural imports, particularly pulses, for India's farm sector. On Tuesday, the White House fact sheet had explicitly mentioned certain pulses among the products for which India would reduce or eliminate tariffs. So this is the latest that we're getting right now. So there's been a change in wording. Remember, this was the first statement that had come out of Donald Trump's Truth Social post, and this is very much what the entire basis of the conversation around what was agreed on, what sort of concessions was based on. That being said, the White House has now revised its fact sheet on the India-US trade deal. It's dropped the reference to pulses. It has changed a lot of wording around India's proposed $500 billion purchase from a firm, which was earlier called a commitment, to now an intent. So now it's an intent of India's of this proposed $500 billion purchase. These changes, remember, are significant given the sensitivity of agricultural imports, particularly pulses. Remember, earlier Piyush Goyal had mentioned how India's agricultural sector was completely insulated and had been secured. There were no concessions on that end. For India's farm sector, these changes are extremely significant. On Tuesday, the White House fact sheet had explicitly mentioned certain pulses among the products for which India would reduce or eliminate tariffs. However, it's dropped that reference now, and this is the revised fact sheet that we're bringing for you. So pulses in agriculture, these are the references which have been dropped. This is something of great sensitivity for Indian agricultural imports and particularly pulses for India's farm sector. We have Siddhant Mishra with us. Siddhant, thank you so much for joining me. Siddhant, we were talking about how significant this change is given the sensitivity of India's agricultural imports, particularly pulses. What can you tell us, Siddhant?
Well, a very, very significant him. And in fact, as we were discussing before, that the day this deal was announced, after which there was a joint statement which was released by both the countries. And media here in New Delhi and in Washington was reporting on the basis of that joint statement. Now, suddenly this fact sheet emerges from White House. Perhaps White House posted a fact sheet which had mention of certain pulses, which also had mention of digital service taxes, which had mention of India committed to buy US goods worth $500 billion, which also had mention of word agriculture. Now, all these four lines, para, words have been dropped in the updated fact sheet, which has got updated today by the White House. So there were discrepancies when it comes to the joint statement and when it comes to the White House fact sheet. Now the fact sheet is aligned with the joint statement which was released by India and United States the other day. So very, very significant development, because this particular fact sheet would have created chaos in India. Perhaps the opposition parties, etc., would have have started asking questions to the government why agriculture word has been mentioned in the fact sheet, not in the joint statement. What about the pulses? Committed word also was not the part of the joint statement, but was the part of the fact sheet, etc., etc. So it's very, very significant. Now we can say that this fact sheet is aligned with the joint statement which was released by India and the United States the other day.
Absolutely, Siddhant. While these changes are, of course, significant, we've seen the kind of speculation and political war of words that has risen out of lack of details when it comes to the contours of this deal as well. There's been a lot of speculation there. With regards to that, when do you think we can expect more clarity?
Well, look, whenever any trade deal is signed, the respective governments do try to take credit for the deal, or rather, come up with their own articulation of the deal, how it's going to benefit their people, their economy, how it can create more jobs, etc., etc. And in fact, not the first time India is announcing or signing deal with any country. In fact, India has done signed deal with more than 9 countries in last few years. Each time around, even Indian side also, perhaps come up with their own articulation and explaining to the Indian people that how this deal is beneficial, how it will create more jobs, more manufacturing unit, etc., etc. Perhaps it is a very very set pattern, which perhaps every government follows after any trade deal. And this was exactly done by the United States also, that after the joint statement, they came up with a fact sheet. Fair enough. But there were discrepancies. There were certain elements, certain paragraphs, certain lines which were introduced to this fact sheet and were not part of the joint statement released by India and United States. So maybe they have done. The White House came up with this fact sheet to explain it to their people that how this trade deal is beneficial for them, etc., etc. But because there were discrepancies, because new lines, new words like agriculture, committed became intent became committed, etc., etc., which created a lot of chaos here in India, because as you rightly said, that by when we can get the clarity. So the clarity right now is the joint statement which was released by India and United States. That is the official document. Unless this deal officially gets signed. So both sides were treating that document as the official document. This fact sheet created a lot of confusion, but in less than 24 hours, United States government, White House updated this fact sheet, and now it is aligned with the joint statement released by both the countries the other day.
Absolutely, Siddhant. That being said, of course, for the benefit of our viewers, when we talk about this entire deal, there are a lot of questions that still remain unanswered, and there's a lot of questions on the issue of purchase of Russian oil. Remember, Donald Trump a few days ago had said that there could still be punitive tariffs if that still happens. What can you tell us about that? Because we keep seeing this sort of back and forth when it comes to conversation and dialogue on this deal with Donald Trump.
That's right. In fact, also one needs to understand the circumstances in which this deal got announced. In fact, this deal was earlier expected to be announced by the fall. Perhaps that was the deadline which was decided when Prime Minister Modi went to DC in February last year. But it got delayed. And in fact, after Ambassador Gore, came to India, he presented his credentials, and in fact, he played a very, very significant role in getting this deal locked. So as far as this particular deal is concerned, then it had seen a lot of highs and lows. There were trade delegations traveling, meeting, etc., etc. But sudden announcement of this deal, then the joint statement, and then the fact sheet created a lot of confusion. As far as your question on the buying on Russian crude is concerned, in fact, the other day, Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri made India's position very, very clear that India's position has always been the energy security, the priority to the energy security, the demand, the supply continuity, and cost. These three are the key parameters on the basis of which India decides to buy energy from any country. And it's not just Russia. India has been buying energy from many other countries as well. So that particular clarification has already come from Ministry of External Affairs and in fact Foreign Secretary himself.
All right, Siddhant, thank you so much for bringing us the latest on this. Of course, we'll continue to track all the developments on this front closely as well. Shifting our focus then, polling for the Telangana municipal elections is commenced, seen by many as a midterm referendum on Chief Minister Revanth Reddy's performance. The elections will cover 116 municipalities and 7 municipal corporations, with vote counting scheduled for the 13th of February. Tensions flared between the BJP and the ruling Congress on the eve of polling after a BJP candidate's suicide, sparking accusations and counter-accusations after this death by suicide. Now, CM Reddy claims that the polls are triangular contest between the Congress, between the BJP and BRS, alleging that both BJP and the BRS did nothing for Telangana, while welfare schemes, Hindutva and appeasement appear to be the crucial factors in these polls. The BRS battles for survival post-2023 setbacks. And this is the latest that we're bringing for you right now. For more on this, we have Rohini Swami who's joining us live. Thank you so much for joining me, Rohini. Of course, we were talking about this earlier as well. Chief Minister Reddy claiming that this is a triangular contest. They've not really done anything for the people of Telangana. When it comes to the people of Telangana, what are they really going to be looking at? What are going to be the deciding factors for them?
See, this is a high-octane election, and this is being fought not just like a municipal election, but it's fought almost, if I could say, like an assembly election or even a parliamentary election. The reason being is there are three stakeholders in this. One, the ruling Congress party. Two, the BRS that was also in power for nearly a decade here in Telangana. And three, the BJP also. BJP is not a new entrant because they have been their role in Telangana also has been quite intense. Now, in terms of the issues that are being looked into, politically, if you look at it, number one, this election, the Congress, which had swept the elections in 2023, is trying to now gain hold in the urban bodies as well. But this has been a major stronghold of the BRS. The BRS has swept these elections time and again. The BRS, on the other hand, is trying to continue their stronghold over these areas because it is this elections especially, and it is these municipal bodies that will determine how they continue in power or whether they can come back to power in the state. The BJP, for that matter, is making a major foot, and they're going full throttle here. Not only have they campaigned aggressively, they also with the Janasena in alliance here with the NDA partner, but they've also used Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis as part of the campaign, also BJP National President Nitin Nabin also coming here. So, and also, if interestingly, Modi, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is also part of the discourse here in the election. In terms of people, issues are urban issues, basic water, sanitation, roads and housing as well, education, schools. These are basic issues which people say, because end of the day, people, what they want is not just governments come and governments go. They need stability. They need to understand, and the Congress government has said that if they remember, they replicated the Karnataka welfare schemes in Telangana, and that's how the Congress came to power here. They added one extra guarantee as well in the 6th guarantee. Whether those welfare schemes are now trickling down right down to the grassroots level, whether that's helping people or not, this is the test for the Congress. This is also a report card for Chief Minister Revanth Reddy to understand whether these welfare schemes have helped the people or they need to reassess and rework their strategy in the Congress while being in power. Secondly, the BRS looking at these strongholds, because for them this is a political fight, not just about for the way that they continue to remain, want to come back to power, but this is also to show the people that it possibly, they're saying that misgovernance has taken place by the Congress. And let's quickly, I'll tell you that the BJP also saying that if the center has the BJP, even at the last level, the grassroots level, the BJP can deliver.
All right. All right, Rohini, do stay on with us. Now we're getting more information. The BJP strongly responded to Telangana Chief Minister Revanth Reddy's remark that the party treats OAC as its only god for electoral gains. Telangana BJP President Ramachandra Rao countered that it is Revanth Reddy who frequently invokes Prime Minister Narendra Modi's name, claiming Modi has become God for the Chief Minister. Rao has rejected Congress allegations that the centre has not contributed to Telangana's development. So there, some reactions now also pouring in. Listen to this.
We are seeing a high-octane campaigning that took place. We also, like I said, Maharashtra Chief Minister Mr. Devendra Fadnavis, the BJP newly anointed President Mr. Nitin Nabin had also come here. What are the chances of the BJP this time in this particular election?
We feel and we expect a very good number of seats because there are 2,996 wards, divisions, both in municipalities and corporations. And BJP hopes to win maximum number of seats this time, and we are pushing BRS in third place. And we are almost equating with Congress party. That is the fear for Congress and BRS both.
in a state which has actually seen a tough fight of elections, be it in state elections or Lok Sabha, even in municipality, between the BRS and the Congress, the BJP has been trying to gain ground. But how confident are you in and what's bringing this confidence in you?
Our confidence is that people are now disillusioned with the BRS party. Now the Congress party is now facing severe anti-incumbency. And the only alternative left to the people of Telangana is BJP. And BJP is growing. BJP has won 2 MLCs which were held recently. The BRS lost. The Jubilee is also the sitting seat of BRS. They lost with 25,000 votes. So people are now seeing BJP as an alternative to the present setup.
All right, news just coming in. The Union Home Ministry has mandated that a 6-stanza long 3 minutes and 10 seconds version of Vande Mataram be played or sung at a raft of official occasions, including during the unfurling of the tricolour, arrival of the President at events, before and after his speeches and addresses to the nation, and before and after the arrival of speeches of the Governor. So this is the latest that has come in right now. Remember, Vande Mataram, it's dominated headlines for quite some time now. The Union Home Ministry, it is now mandated that a 6-stanza long, which is 3 minutes and 10 seconds version of Vande Mataram, be played at a raft of official occasions. They've mentioned a few occasions where this has been mandated. This is the 6-stanza long version of Vande Mataram that we are looking at. It is 3 minutes and 10 seconds, which has now been mandated. For more on this, we have Arnima live with us. Arnima, thank you so much for joining me. How do you assess the significance of this mandate?
See, first and foremost, if you see this letter that has been sent, it's an advisory that has been sent, more like a guideline, dated 28th of January to all the states. All chief secretaries and all government UT administrations have been sent this letter. Copies have been sent to the President's office, the Vice President's office, offices of all governors, the PMO, High Court, as well as CAG. So essentially, CVC, all the official functionaries of the government have been marked in this letter. And it says that the national song of India is sung on various occasions. Following instructions are being issued. And then the official version of the song has been given. So usually, even in Parliament, when Vande Mataram is played, you end at Subra Jyotsna Pulakita Yamini, that paragraph. But this version, which is a 3 minute long version, 3 minute, 10 second long, actually takes into account all the other stanzas, ending it with Twamhi Durga Dasa Praharini. So why this is controversial, or some might call it controversial, is because there were a huge section in this country which thought that this particular song and these paragraphs are more religious in nature. They take into account faith that Hindus have, because they talk about Durga. They compare, Mother India and our, feelings of patriotism to Durga, who's worshipped in Hindu faith. So a lot of people had objection to these paragraphs being sung in official functions. But now Ministry of Home Affairs guidelines says that this entire 3 minute, 10 second song must be sung. And then it goes on to say how the protocol must be maintained. So the protocol says that at all civil investiture ceremonies, on arrival of president, on arrival of governor, any other official function, the audience must stand in attention position. And there must be a drum roll before the song begins, so that everybody is aware that the national song is going to be played. And then it also clarifies that if the song is being used in a documentary or a reel, then you don't require, it is not required of you to stand in attention position. But for all official events, when this entire song, 3 minute, 10 second long song is sung, audience must be in the attention position, just like we do for Janagan Man, the national anthem.
Absolutely, Arnima. Just for the benefit of our viewers and for further clarity here, this move, of course, is in sync with the recent push to popularize the entire version of Vande Mataram as well. And as you mentioned earlier, this follows that acrimonious debate that we'd seen over this as well. How do you think this is going to be received widely?
So like I said, even earlier when our constitution makers were debating which song to adopt, there had been reservations right from them. And we have been made aware of all of these because, the country just celebrated the 150th anniversary of Vande Mataram. There is a concentrated push from Government of India to popularize Vande Mataram. Prime Minister himself has spoken about it. Home Minister Amit Shah, if you recall, ahead of Bihar elections, flagged off a full awareness campaign about Vande Mataram. So the government's guideline, the Ministry of Home Affairs guidelines, is in sync with that decision taken by government that the entire song must be popularized. But like I told you, there are critics who have reservations, and this guideline is also coming at a time when Bengal is gearing up for polls. Now, Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay, who wrote this song, we saw even in Parliament, Prime Minister made a reference to Bankim Babu, and he has been talking about Vande Mataram. So ahead of Bengal elections, I think this is another political reasoning also why government is pushing further. But like I've been pointing out, these paragraphs which talk about Durga, which talk about Vidya, Dharma, there's one second last para, Tumi Vidya, Tumi Dharma. The last para, Twam hi Durga, Dasa Praharana Dharini. These are paragraphs which some have objections to. So politically speaking, they could continue to say that you can't force people to sing a national song which is not in sync with their faith. But the government of India is committed that this is about the country, this is about the national song, and therefore it must be popularized.
Absolutely, Arnima, and let me just come back to you. You've already touched on this and you've summarized this for us, but just for the benefit of our viewers, we're looking at 3 categories of events that have been created in light of this order as well. If you could just once again take us through that very briefly.
Can you repeat that, please?
Can you hear me, Arnima?
Yes, I can.
Yes, Arnima, I was just saying, just for the benefit of our viewers, since you've summarized